Hello, testing, testing. Hello, hey, hello everyone. Welcome to my first preaching. Maybe you could call it that. So yes, I'm a bit awkward, I know, but I learn as I go. Don't worry. So today we are going to talk about three very important people in the Bible who you could learn a lot from if you think about it, right? So our topic today is three men named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And if you have a Bible, or you could just Google it, up to you. Our source verses or our source chapters are Daniel chapter 1-3. And Daniel is a book within the Bible, or I guess like a section, I guess. So Book of Daniel, chapter 1-3. That is what we're learning. And also, don't worry if you just arrived, or if you watch this, later on. This is gonna be uploaded on YouTube anyway. So yeah, this is me just testing things out. Maybe I'll do this type of PowerPointy live stream more often. But just testing things out for now. So, yeah, let's open to Daniel chapter 1. So first off, who are they? Right? Who are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? And actually, hold on just a second. Okay, microphone's working. Oops. Y'all saw that, huh? Wow, spoilers. So yeah, they were three men of royalty and nobility from Judah when the Israelites were exiled to Babylon. And you could see this in Daniel chapter 1, verse 3-7. So just open your Bible there or Google it, up to you. Online Bible is good too. So I don't have it here on the presentation, but I'll read it. So then the king ordered Aspenaz, chief of his court officials, to bring in some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility, young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, was qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that they were to enter the king's service. And verse 6, among these were some from Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief official gave them new names. To Daniel, the name Belteshazzar, to Hananiah, Shadrach, to Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. So, it's important to know this. They're from a royal bloodline, right? They're just some context. The king of Babylon, right, a foreign nation, invaded the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Judah, and besieged it, basically exiling the people to Babylon. And people of high ranks, of high position, they're no longer in that position since they're invaded. They're technically slaves to the king of Babylon now. So yeah, everything got taken away from them. Their high position, their lives as freemen or as free citizens of Israel. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind, and keep that thought in mind. And as you've heard, they were well educated rather. In Daniel 1:17 it says, "To these 4 young men God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning, and Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds." Excuse me. So that was for the cough, by the way. So we heard this within verse 3 to 7 that they're pretty smart. They're fast learners. They're hard workers. They're people of high statures. They're handsome, good looking. They're good looking. They don't have any physical defects, no disorders, nothing physically or mentally. They're normal, kind of. They're a little above normal. And they were well educated. So they were considered as wise men by the king of Babylon, or the wise men of Babylon, rather. So in Daniel chapter 1, verse 20, it says, "In every matter of wisdom and understanding, about which the king," that's the king of Babylon, "questioned them being Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in his whole kingdom." 10 times, not just once, twice, not even 5, 10 times better than anyone else who the king consoled. So they're pretty smart, pretty good. In Daniel chapter 2, verse 12 to 13, it says, "This made the king so angry and furious that he ordered the execution of all the wise men of Babylon. So the decree was issued to put the wise men to death, and men were sent to look for Daniel and his friends, which are the 3 men, to put them to death." So, this verse also is different from the last verse contextually. So the king was looking for someone to interpret his dreams, and none of the people he called on could interpret it. But then he called on Daniel later on to interpret his dreams. But, again, before that, while no one else was there to help him understand what his dreams were trying to say to him, or what God was trying to say to him through the dreams, that he was like, "You know what? Kill all the wise men. No one's going to tell me what I want, then just kill them all." So, takeaway of this, these 2 verses in chapter 2, verse 12 to 13, that these 3 guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were wise. They were wise men. They were acknowledged. They had position. Even though they were exiled, they still had positions. Or somewhat high positions, Let's see. And they were administrators of the province of Babylon. So, again, going back to the dream thing, Daniel was called by the king. Then he interpreted his dream, and the king was amazed. He appointed Daniel as one of the admins of the kingdom of Babylon. And at Daniel's request, his friends, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, were also made administrators over the province of Babylon. So that could be found in Daniel chapter 2, verse 49, which says, "Moreover, at Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego administrators over the province of Babylon." Right? So, they were exiled. They were nobility and royalty from before. They were well educated and known as wise men. And, again, even after being exiled, they somehow, by God's providence, have statures again, or positions, high positions in the land, right? So why are these important, right? Why are these important? So one thing, no matter how high your position is, no matter where you are in life, whether you're down here or up here socially or whatever, that you're still susceptible to hardship. You're still susceptible. It's a hard word. Susceptible to hardship, to trials, to pain, to sorrow, to trouble. Even though I said trouble already. All right. So yeah, that's who they are. Just keep that in mind. So, what did they do? Why are they so significant? Why are they important? Why are we talking about these three men? So, context now for this, which is in Daniel chapter 3, King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, decreed that all peoples of Babylon worship the golden statue idol of him. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to summarize it. In Daniel chapter 3, verse 1 to 8, basically, King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had a golden statue of him made. And he made it a law all over Babylon that that statue must be worshipped as a god. Worship him as a god. That golden statue, or an idol, if you may. And I actually have a picture right here that I found on Google. So here are the people of Babylon who are worshipping, who bowed down. And this is King Nebuchadnezzar, or the golden statue of him, whom he decreed for people to worship. And you could already guess who these three people are. So these three people are Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. They remained standing. Why? They didn't bow down. Why? Why aren't they following the king's rules? They refused to bow down and worship the idol and were thrown into the fiery furnace. Right? So that could be found in Daniel chapter 3, again, still chapter 3, verse 12 and verse 16 to 18. So whoever didn't bow down, the king decreed that they be burned in a furnace, or a fiery furnace rather, whoever didn't worship his idol or his golden statue. But they refused. They said, our God is the only God that we serve. So again, Daniel chapter 3 verse 12 says, but there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, referring to the three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, O king. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up. That is Daniel chapter 3 verse 12. And going on to verse 16 and 18, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king. But even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude towards them changed. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times than usual, because he angered him so much. Because not only did they not bow down, but they said it to his face. Not directly, but when they were confronted, that we're not going to bow down to this. We'd rather die, according to them, and keep our faith to the one and only God, to Jesus, than renounce our faith and serve your statues, serve any other God. That's how faithful they were. They held on to that faith. They held on to God, even at the face of death, even at the face of burning hell. So what happens after that? So, to everyone's surprise, especially the kings, they survived. The king was amazed. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego survived because God was in the midst of them, or rather, God was with them. They trusted God. They took their stand. They held on to that faith in God, and so God was with them. In Daniel chapter 3, verse 25, it's already on the screen. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. And this last line, keep this in mind. And the 4th one looks like a son of the gods. That is Jesus, who was among them. He was among them. And because he was among them, because God was with them, They were unharmed and they were unbound. They were free and they survived. They're safe. The king was amazed. He even said in I think it was verse. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, there you go. Verse 28, right? King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants." God changed Nebuchadnezzar, or at least this was the foundation of the change, because later on in the book of Daniel, he actually humbles King Nebuchadnezzar by sending him into the woods for a few years until he repented and realized that God is the only God and he's the supreme, the most high God. So they were unharmed. They survived. Not only that, but yeah, they didn't just survive, but they were also promoted by the king of Babylon himself. In Daniel chapter 3, verse 30, the New Living Translation, it said, "Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher positions in the province of Babylon." Wow. After all of that, after being angry and saying, "To the fire with the three of you, that you all will die because you refuse to worship me and my idol." Even after that, he is amazed and even promoted them. Isn't that amazing? That's great. That's faith for you. That's faith in God. That's holding on to God no matter what happens. And what can we learn from them, right? After everything they've been through, and especially at the face of death, the cost of their lives, they held on to what? Their faith in the Lord. They trusted God whether or not he saved them. What does that mean? Daniel chapter 3, verse 16 to 18. Again, they said, "If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king." They acknowledge that God is a trustable God. God is a confidable God. That he'll provide, that he'll be with them, that God has and can save them. But look at what they say. Look at what they say in verse 18. "But even if he doesn't, even if he does not save us, we want you to know, O king, that we will never, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." No matter what, they're about to burn. And they still held on to that faith. Do you think something like that is just false? Right? Like, if it's something that important, then it must be great. Right? It's true. The Bible says Jesus is the truth and the way and the life. If you follow Jesus, you're revealed to that truth. You're revealed to Jesus. You're revealed to him. You're revealed to the way. You're revealed to the life. They took a stand for their undying faith. Undying faith. Can you really have faith on something that doesn't exist? If so, it'll only just fail. I tell you. Undying faith to God. No matter what, at the face of death, they were even open. It's not that they wanted to die, but they were so open to it that, they'd rather do that instead of serve the idol, the statue, him, rather than God. So, in conclusion, so these verses on the left are just reference verses. You could look them up if you want. So, in conclusion, if you were put in that situation, would you choose life? Would you choose life, following lies, or accept the death and reward that comes with taking a stand for Christ? It's one thing to die for what you believe in. It's another thing to die for Christ, for standing up and saying, "Jesus is Lord over my life, over my soul, over my everything." And again, it takes a certain amount of self-denial, rather. What I mean is here in Matthew chapter 16, verse 24 on the left, it says, Jesus said to his disciples, if any of you wants to be my follower, if you want to follow me, you must give up your own way. Take up your cross and follow me. Meaning you must deny yourself. Deny the fear, the shame that you think will come with it. Because of course serving God will not be easy, and even more so when you're openly and boldly serving God. Not everyone will like it, and the majority will hate it. You'll be persecuted. Believing in God was never easy. But confiding and trusting in God, having faith in God, trusting that He's got you no matter what happens to you or your body, anything, then He'll make things easy. He'll give you security. He'll give you strength, courage. He says you must give up in your own way and take up your cross and follow me. Taking up your cross means you have to carry that burden that comes with believing in me. In today's day and age, taking a stand for Christ doesn't necessarily result to death, because persecution can result to death. Believing in God, and especially in the New Testament, though it is possible to be killed for your faith today. But regardless, it'll lead to persecution from people that actually says who despise God and His word. That's a typo of mine, my bad. But if you trust in God, it won't matter. You'll still have security. You still have that strength and that boldness to share. You won't be worn down because you have the God of perfection, the God of pure strength and wisdom with you. And that, my friends, is Jesus, no one else. Here in John chapter 6, verse 33, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. Jesus said it Himself. While you're still in this world, in this corrupt, devil-driven world, or sin-driven world, you will have trouble. That's natural. While this world is still going on, until, of course, Jesus comes back. But take heart. Take heart means have courage. For He has overcome the world. He says, Jesus said, I have overcome the world. So just trust in Him. Who has overcome the world? Who has overcome all sin, everything bad in the world, everything bad that we've done, said, or thought. He's above that, so you could trust Him. He's a Redeemer, our salvation, and our light. He's the only way, the truth, and the life. And when you serve God, just know that it's not an easy game. It's not. It won't be an easy life. Now, in a sense, there will be more hurdles, but this time you have God with you. He'll keep you safe. He'll keep you under the shadow of His wings as long as you are with Him, as long as you serve and obey Him, as long as you follow God with all your life, with all your soul, with everything you do, you glorify Him. The moment you accepted Christ, or when you accept Christ, God willing, you were entered into a race. Not only a race, but a fight. A race and fight for faith. But Jesus will lead you through that race, through that fight, through the fires of hardship and trouble, because He's got you. He's got you and me. Whether you feel Him, as long as you trust Him, or whether you feel Him or not, whether you believe it or not, He is with you. You just need to come to Him. You just need to have faith and trust in Him. Because that is what faith is. That's what we need for God to be in our lives. We need to have that undying faith, that devotion and commitment to God, to value God over our own lives. And God will bless you for that, not only in heaven, in eternity, but even now in your own life today. He will bless you for that. He will provide for you and protect you. He's got plans for you and I. He's got plans for you. He knows the plans He has for you. They're not our plans. They're His perfect plans that are the best for you, and not what you think are best for you, what are good for you. He knows it. Jesus loves you, and He wants you to know Him, and He wants you to know the plans that He has for your life, because those plans will only help you grow even more. Grow closer to Him. Grow as a person. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope I didn't screw anything up this time, because I did stream this earlier, and apparently my microphone was muted, and we had this boys young men life group thingy, and I was assigned to teach, and this is actually my teaching from that, but apparently I was muted, so I did this again. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're watching this as a video, thank you for sticking around, and if you're still watching this live, then thank you so much for sticking around as well. And if you want more videos like this, cool. I'm still gonna make more videos like this regardless of what anyone thinks, because this is my part of the fight of faith, right? Gotta partake, gotta finish the good, or fight the good fight and finish the race of faith. God never turns back on his promises. God is a God of promises, of his promises for the world, for you personally, you watching this right now. He loves you, he cares for you, and he just wants you to come to him. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon with the next preaching, I guess, or sermon, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, thank you, and God bless. I hope you have a good day, afternoon, or evening. So yeah, take care, wash your hands, please stay home. Okay, so bye. Thank you for